All right. Well, good evening, EDT 520. Once again, Mother Nature playing tricks on us. I appreciate everyone's flexibility. I was trying to kind of hold off as long as I could to see if uh, if Central was going to cancel or anything like that. Oh, sorry, Tanya. I will talk softer. Um, Anyways, as it turns out, I don't know if everyone got the message, but Central is closing as of 8 tonight. So I guess technically we could have gotten the class in, but I also know that a lot of you are coming from distances and coming from different directions, and I don't know what it's doing in different parts of the state. Up here towards Litchfield, it's been kind of on again, off again for the last couple hours or so, and I know our school district canceled all after-school activities. So I figured rather than having people stress out about trying to get home tonight after class, that we would at least touch base. It is going to be a short night tonight. Basically, I want to just follow up on if people have questions, talk a little bit about the Powtoon projects. But the main thing tonight is just to get settled in our game groups and to start to have our first discussions as groups about a possible topic or subject for games. So that's really what I want to accomplish tonight. There was a conversation and discussion I wanted to have about what makes a game a game. I'm going to cross my fingers that next week we are on campus, because I think that discussion is going to work a lot better when we can all be together and can all be talking to everybody. So tonight, basically, we'll just touch base and then get some groups settled and do a bit of an initial discussion about the games, and then call it a night if that's okay with everybody. So to start off, the first thing would be just to follow up on uh, on the Moodle. It's the Moodle, wrong class. On the Powtoon projects. I know last week when we were together on campus, I went over the specifics of that project. Talked a little bit about the planning work ahead of time. So, a good place to start tonight would be just to kind of check in and see where people are, if people have questions about that project, what it is you're supposed to do, or how you're supposed to do it, or where you're supposed to be doing it, or any of that stuff. So I'll sort of open the table to anybody that has any questions about the Powtoon project, or anything like that.
I just want to double check. We were only supposed to work on this week. We were supposed to do the script and the planning. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean that was my idea, was that if you use this past week to kind of get your thoughts in place and get everything ready to go, then you could transfer over into doing the actual production part of it over the next week or so.
Okay, sounds good. I think I'm on the right track. And then we post it on that same site. Is that correct?
Yeah, the so in terms of submitting the actual assignment, so you'll build the Powtoon in Powtoon and you'll finish it and finalize it. The assignment in Moodle is that Word document, and up near the top of that document um, is a place to just paste the URL for your Powtoon. So when your Powtoon's done and you're on the page that says, view this Powtoon, if you just copy the web address from that page, paste it into um, the Word document. Then when I open up the Word document, I'll have that link right there, and I can link right to the Powtoon project from there. So all that you're submitting to me is just the Word document, which you will do through Moodle.
Is it okay that I submitted the Word document? Can I go back in and post the URL?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know if Moodle will let you reopen the document and repost it. If it won't, then yeah, just send me an email or something like that that's got the address for the Powtoon on it.
Got it. Thank you.
No problem. All right. Anyone else? Feel like I should sing the Jeopardy theme. Okay. So, in terms of that project, I would like to, just because I want to get us moving on and into the next things. I would like to have those due next week. There's basically not going to be any other homework this week other than just working on the Powtoons. You will be doing a little bit of discussion work with your game groups, but that's not going to really require too much time. So really, I'm going to have us just focus all of our energies this coming week on finishing those Powtoons and getting them submitted. Um, you can submit it anytime. If you need to use the late passes on this assignment, that's fine with me too. Just let me know ahead of time. If you run into anything over the next week in terms of any technical issues or anything like that, then just be in touch. But the plan will be that those Powtoon assignments will be submitted by next week. And just remember that that assignment shows up under week 4 of our week 4 of our Moodle under the homework, the Powtoon instructional video project right here. So that's where you would actually go to submit your final Word document and so on when you're done. So just remember that that shows up under week 4, even though it's going to be due week 6, due next week on the 27th.
I just had a really quick comment.
Yeah.
So when I was doing my recording for each slide, I did the voiceover per slide.
Yep.
And if anyone hasn't done that yet, I would recommend doing it per slide, just because of timing and things. And when I was doing it, I would record it and then listen back for each one just to make sure timing was okay. And I noticed that it cut me off at like 18 seconds. So just like a word of caution for anybody that's doing that, just to make sure you end whatever you're saying just like a couple seconds early, otherwise it'll get cut off.
Yeah, I think I do remember that there's a 18 or a 20-second time limit if you're doing it per slide. I don't think there's a time limit if you're doing one for the whole Powtoon, but they do limit the length of them if it's per slide. So that's a good thing to point out. Yeah, and I agree. That's the big advantage to doing a per slide approach is that you do have a little bit more control over the timing of things and sort of the pacing of things. Whereas if you're going to do it for the whole Powtoon, generally what you need to do is record that first and then kind of build your Powtoon to that recording, which can be a bit tricky too. But yes, that both approaches are valid. But for me, I tend to like going the per slide route myself as well.
Is there a way to, I'm just curious because I did it a different way, but when you're doing like a voiceover in there, say I want like the voice to happen at like 6 seconds within the slide. So it seems I can only get it to start like right when the slide starts.
Yeah, that is within Powtoon. If you have a voiceover, it will start the recording at the start of the slide.
Yeah, I've been trying to like, I'll just kind of let it like, I won't say anything for like 6 seconds or 7 seconds until I want it to like, till I want the voiceover to start. And that seems to work. You don't even realize it, but it's kind of my way around it.
Yeah, no, and that is what you would have to do if you don't want the voice to begin right at the beginning, is just to build in certain number of seconds of silence.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in more sophisticated programs, they treat sound files as an object, which you can drag around on the timeline just like we can the visual objects. But in terms of Powtoon, they simplified things down so that sounds are triggered with slides, regardless of what's there. Let's see. Yeah, Tom.
On that same note, is there any way you could play the slide at the same time as you record? I was trying to look for that, but I didn't see it.
Yeah, the recording studio is kind of a separate little piece. So the only thing I could suggest, it would require having a second computer nearby. If you had a second computer or a laptop or something, I guess you could run the slide on one and be running the recording studio on the other. But within Powtoon, I don't think you can be doing a live preview of the slide as you're doing the recording.
All right, I guess that's a way around it.
All right. Anything else that I can help address at the moment? Let's see, Brian. Yeah, so Brian brings up the point that of using a different software to create the recording in, and that's always an option too. If you're familiar with something like Audacity or GarageBand or anything like that, you can, just like you can load videos and your own images into Powtoon, you can load your own audio files in too. So if you don't want to use Powtoon's built-in recorder for whatever reason, then you can use an external program and just export the file and then bring it into Powtoon as another option too. All right, good. These are all good comments and questions. All right, so as I said, if anything else comes up, the goal will be to have these wrapped up by next week and get them submitted so that we can really at that point turn our attention full time onto the game side of things. So with that in mind, like I said, the main thing I wanted to get through tonight is to get our groups selected. Looks like they added. Oh, interesting. Earl says that it looks like they've added some Photoshop integration into things. Yeah, that's one of the advantages of using web-based platforms like Powtoons, is that when they roll out a new feature, you get it right away. You don't have to worry about updating your software. I know a couple weeks ago, I think I had pointed out that they had split the area that used to be images and videos. They actually now have split into two separate categories instead of having them in one. So yeah, I'll have to check that out. I actually was unaware of that. So yeah, they're always looking to add new things and so on. And another thing just to keep in mind with any of these, again, because a lot of these websites are really responsive and because they are just really about, in the moment, is if there's a feature, if you're using a platform and there's a feature you'd like to see, most of these websites will have some sort of a forum where you can post feature requests, or they'll sometimes actually publish what their roadmap is. So if they're looking at adding particular features, they'll give you an idea of what they're working on and what they're looking to add. So that can be a nice way to, if you're using a program like Powtoon and you want to be able to start your audio partway through a slide, to get in touch with them through a forum or whatever and let them know, because a lot of times that's the way they know what to focus on. If they get a lot of requests for a particular feature, then that's what they're going to spend their time focusing on and trying to get up and running. So, all right. So game groups. So what I did is I went through and I thank everybody for getting their posts up on the forum. I was able to go through and I realized it's basically a three-dimensional grid that I needed, because I have the 16 of you, and each of the 16 had 3 suggestions or so, and then people were responding to one of those 3 suggestions. So I did what I could and kind of laid it all out and tried to get a sense of the types of topics people were looking at. Tried to take into account where people were commenting on other people's projects and saying this sounds good or sounds interesting. So what I'm going to do, as I said last week, I'm not picking the groups for you. What I'm going to do is make a suggestion about the groups and use that as a starting point. And if it looks like it'll work as is, then that's great. Or if anybody has any suggestions about swapping two people back and forth, I'm perfectly okay with that too. I mean, you're going to be spending a lot of time working in these groups, so I want to make sure that they work for you. And at the moment, basically, the information I had was about the kinds of topics that you were looking at. So what I'm going to do, I've created, those of you who were in my class last night got a chance to look a little bit at the wikis within Moodle. And what I did is I set up a wiki for our Moodle, which is going to be a central location for groups to be posting information about their games and so on. So this group game project wiki is going to be a place, and I've created a page for each of the 4 groups, and I'll explain more about what's on those pages in a moment. But what I thought I'd start by doing is just going through and letting you know what I came up with, and then I'll open the floor to any comments or suggestions about any adjustments we'd like to make, and I'll make those right here on the page. And then we'll go on from there. I think, let me do a quick count here on 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, I think we're only missing one right now. I think, let's see, I think it's Kathleen is not here, but I think everybody else is here. So hopefully we'll get some good input here. So anyways, and the group numbers don't really mean anything. It's just the order that I put them in. So I had the first group as being